On this lesson, I'm going to explain what planning cost centers are and why they're important for our planning application. So a planning cost center is something that was designed to make the planning process simple, to align with using drivers, and also to survive any future reorganizations. So a planning cost center exists for every unique combination of what I'm showing here, these four CAT codes. CAT 10, CAT 22 level 3, CAT 20 level 3, and CAT 5. So I'm going to explain what these mean briefly. So we made a decision that all the planning cost centers would start with 99997. And that is a company that is excluded from the Conduent books, and it is reserved exclusively for planning. So there could be 100 or more cost centers with a unique combination of these CAT codes. Those 100 cost centers will have one planning cost center, and all the actuals of those 100 cost centers will be combined and roll up to the one planning cost center. So within planning, one of the first things you have to do when you log in is select the planning cost center you're going to forecast or plan with. You'll plan your revenue, you'll plan your expenses. The revenue will suggest a notional head count. You will forecast your head count, make some adjustments perhaps, and with whether it's revenue, expense, or head count, you have the ability to override what the system says and enter some numbers directly. The good news is when you log in, you will only see your CAT 10 cost centers. So let's talk about CAT 22, level 3. CAT 22 has its own hierarchy. It's referred to as the customer vertical. Level 3 in the CAT 22 should be another CAT 10 at Conduent. This means you are getting revenue from a customer, you're doing work for a customer that is associated with another CAT 10. You may have also heard the terminology specialty horizontal and vertical. So the specialty horizontals do work for customers that are in other verticals. So here's an example where multi-channel communication services has, let's see, we've got here 6 CAT 22s. So I don't know how much revenue is in each, but customers that are within multi-channel communication services vertical would be planned under, their revenue would be planned under this CAT 22. And then so forth for the other CAT 10s. There could be one big customer, 50 customers. We don't know. So contrasting with that, we have state and local. So multi-channel communication services could be referred to as a specialty horizontal. State and local government only is doing work, revenue and expenses for customers within the state and local government vertical. This could change in the future, but right now all of their services are for their own CAT 10. Next we have the CAT 20 level 3. This is your service offering. I tried to zoom in just a little bit. So examples of service offerings are tolling, child support, customer care. This is what we talk about when people ask us what we do. So the planning cost centers, are based on who do you do work for and what kind of work do you do. So if you do tolling for state and local services. So we're really looking for the unique intersection of internal customer, which is the CAT 22, and the service offering, which is the CAT 20. So your CAT 20s are where your transactional volumes exist. So if you offer tolling as a service offering, there could be number of tolls and number of lanes associated with that. With child support, there could be number of payments as well as number of calls, as two examples. And lastly, we have CAT Code 5. This is your SG&A type. This is required for external reporting. The good news is when you're dealing with revenue, your CAT Code 5 will always be services, revenue, and cost. We'll have to deal with some of the other CAT 5s as well when we forecast and plan for expenses. But for revenue, you can just zoom in on this. Here's an example of one of our CAT 10s that has several planning cost centers. And I'm going to focus on revenue forecasting. I only need to worry about the 5 that are highlighted in green. So to wrap up this presentation, I want to show you the type of analysis that was done to build out the planning application. And this data does get updated monthly when the organizational changes are made. So at this moment, I've filtered on comms and media as my CAT 10. I've already filtered out anything except services and revenue at the CAT 5 level. So these are all planning cost centers for revenue and cost. Let's see, I can pick my internal customer. So it looks like in this case we just have comms and media itself and commercial sector admin. That may or may not be necessary. And here are the service offerings. So if I'm in communications and media, I do transaction processing, I do customer care. So perhaps one of these is not necessary, or two of them are not necessary, but the concept is, I'll select another CAT 10. If I'm multi-channel, you'll see here are my internal customers. Okay, and I do print and mail is my service offering for HTIR. And that, I think, is the service offering for all the other CAT 10s as well. Let's take a look at one more. Let's look at learning. I believe they have, okay, they have quite a few internal customers, and they have a couple service offerings. They have learning and provider pharma services. So that's for HCPPL. So there are at least 2 service offerings, and there might be 2 cost centers in here in error. So that's the concept behind the Planning Cost Center. It's what do you do, and who are you doing it for internally. And that's all we need to know. When we get into the application, we will be forecasting our revenue by these planning cost centers.